Cleveland, Cleveland, Cleveland. What's up, Cleveland? Sitting at third in division at 2-2, and you lost to your division rivals, the Baltimore Ravens, in your most hated, most despised franchise that lives rent free in your minds year after year for the last 2 decades. The Pittsburgh Steelers. So what's going on, Cleveland? Because I don't know. It's been a while since I really made a Cleveland roast video, but since the Steelers are on a bye and there's not much to talk about. I could keep going on and on about the Steelers, but there's a bye and Cleveland's about to play the San Francisco 49ers, who just destroyed and demolished the Dallas Cowboys and are looking like they're the best team in the entire league right now, period, point blank, hands down. And before the season, you were supposed to be what, second in the division? You were supposed to make the playoffs. You were supposed to be all this and that. And you're getting all those fans over there rooting on Deshaun Me Too Watson, talking about how they're going to win a Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson, and how then this is why your franchise is perennial dog shit, Cleveland. I'm not gonna be a little easy on you. I'm not gonna talk about your rivers catching on fire, and I'm not gonna get on the Yakov. I'm not gonna get on the Yakov Smirnov joke when he used to talk about Soviet Russia, and he would say even in Soviet Russia we can make fun of Cleveland. We're not gonna go down that road, all right? How your rivers caught on fire, and your economy basically runs on LeBron James and a methadone clinic. We're not going to get into all that, Cleveland, all right? We're just going to talk football here, all right? We're not going to talk about that. But we're going to talk about how you gave away Baker Mayfield, who was supposed to be he was the anointed one. He was the Messiah. He was the one after years and years and years and years of the quarterback carousel in Cleveland, which is another reason why you're terrible, because you move off quarterbacks too quick. You move off coaches too quick, and this team never builds chemistry. They think they just can fire everybody, fire everybody. Somebody makes a little bit of a mistake, we're going to fire him. We're going to fire this coach. We're going to bring in this coach and then fire him after a year. Bring in that coach, fire him after 2, 3 years. And it's just crazy. It's just a perennial revolving door in Cleveland. And who really wants to come play for Cleveland? I guess the only person that wants to come play for Cleveland is a 24-time accused rapist, and it comes at a hefty price. You had to mortgage your entire future for Deshaun Watson. And now this clown decided not to play. Decided not to play after, all the scrutiny, all the media hate, and everything that went on. Forcing his way out of Houston. I'm not happy. And it just proves this man's a diva. I mean, he had one good year in Houston, maybe 2 good years in Houston. Whoop-de-doo-dah day. I mean, you could talk about a lot of quarterbacks that had 2 or 3 good years and then they never came back in the NFL or they never were good. And, a lot of it you could say is the talent around them. And maybe you could say he didn't have a lot of talent in Houston. Okay, I'll give you that. But still, at the end, I mean, he had DeAndre Hopkins, though, who was, an elite wide receiver and pretty much considered the best wide receiver in the game at the time. But, that's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about, just the facts and the culture and the difference between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. We don't move off coaches. We don't move off players. The Roonies are about opportunity and letting players and coaches develop. And, they understand that the NFL season's a marathon. It's not a sprint. They understand that there's going to be games you're supposed to win, you lose. And there's going to be games you're supposed to lose and you win. That's just the way the NFL works. There's upsets week in and week out in the game of football. That's why they even made a movie about it. Any given Sunday, man, anything can happen in a ball game. You never know. A stupid mistake, you're off time by just a little bit. You're a little bit behind your receiver. You're a little bit ahead of your receiver. It tips off his fingertips and goes up in the air, and then a safety comes down with it like a Troy Polamalu or a Minka Fitzpatrick, and he's taking it back quick for 6. All right? That's just the way the NFL is. And, in today's NFL, it's all about doing good business. And that's really what separates the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns is they do business. They have a culture of loyalty. They have a culture of family, and they have a culture of opportunity. And that is why so many players are willing to come in for this team and play for this team. And so many players, opposed to Deshaun Me Too Watson, who is getting paid $267 million, billion, quadrillion dollars, that you mortgage your entire franchise, who's pretty much been playing like trash. And like I said, now he's not even wanting to play. He was medically cleared to play against the Baltimore Ravens. And you got people like Joe Burrow into this division who is, willing to go out there with a bum leg and fight and try to get in the game and do all he can do to win for Cincinnati. You got people like Kenny Pickett going in there with a hurt knee and some injuries and banged up and doing everything he can come in to get the big win and the game-winning touchdown over the Baltimore Ravens in the final minutes, seconds of the game. And your star quarterback is sitting on the sidelines. And I seen some podcast the other day, some NFL player, I forget his name, but he's talking about how could these offensive linemen want to even block for them, especially right now with the defense you got. You actually, in the past 2-3 years, you guys have been building a pretty nice defense over there in Cleveland. I'll actually give you a little bit of credit. But you got this diva that wants to run his own offense. He doesn't want to do what the coach tells him to do. And he just wants to go in there and basically dictate what he wants to do. And I think this is what he's trying to do. He wants to be the center of attention. He wants to go out there and spread it out and throw the ball all around. Maybe he's most comfortable in that, role and playing out of that set or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, you got to do what the coach tells you, and you got to do what's best for your team. And what's best for Cleveland is you got a great offensive line, you got solid running backs in there, and we'll no more Nick Chubb. But with that offensive line, it's pretty much like Moses splitting the Red Sea. You can put anybody behind that offense. You can put me behind that offensive line, and I'm gonna pick up yards. Like seriously, you got a dude that's like 370 pounds on your offensive line. You have one of the best offensive lines in the league, and you got a quarterback that's unwilling to play with a little bit of a bruise. He's medically cleared to play, and now he's not even practicing this week, which is absolutely pathetic. And you gave up on Baker Mayfield, who still had 1 year left on his contract. And this guy, Baker Mayfield, as much as I talk shit, as much as I said he was going to be a bust, which he kind of was in Cleveland, to be completely honest, but there was times and seasons where he shined too at the end of the day. And he is the first quarterback ever to bring, well, not ever, but the first quarterback in 20 years to bring you into a playoff game, and the first quarterback ever to get you I don't even know when was the last time you won a freaking playoff game other than Pittsburgh. And you basically threw a parade. That was literally Cleveland's Super Bowl, is beating Pittsburgh in the fucking playoffs. I'm guaranteed the whole city threw a parade because they beat Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl. It's just like the whole city threw a parade when the Cleveland Browns went 0-16, because that's pretty much what the Cleveland Browns and their ownership and why they're perennial dog shit. Business decisions like that, mortgaging your entire future for one man. And one man does not make a team, and it will never make a team. You can talk about quarterback. You need to have those 5 great offensive linemen in front of you to block. You need to have solid wide receivers. You need to have a good running back to help back you up and to make it easier for you to pass the ball, make you look better. You need a good defense to back you up, just like the great defense the Pittsburgh Steelers had, and back them up to get that win after Gunnar Liski, who should be cut off our roster, decides to fuck up the most routine of routine plays and miss a goddamn punt. I mean, that is just so... I could literally catch that punt. I haven't played football in 15 years, and I probably could go out there and literally catch a punt, bro. Like, no lie, bro. Like, that's how routine it is, man. And this is an NFL athlete, and it's just pathetic. But the defense backed him up. The defense backed up the horrible offense, and then Kenny Pickett, George Pickens came in and backed them up and got the big win for Pittsburgh Steelers, while Deshaun Watson sitting on the pine, watching his team lose, collecting $260 million guaranteed. So it's kind of a spit in the face to the entire organization that gave you an opportunity when probably not too many teams in the league would have gave this man an opportunity after all the accusations and all the shit he's been through. It's just bad for optics for any franchise. I don't care who you are. And it's crazy they swept all this shit under the rug. Yeah, he's innocent, whatever. But to a grand jury. But to me, dude, 24 women coming forward, it's just I could see maybe one, maybe two, maybe three, maybe even four women trying to, maybe five women trying to lie. But 24 women coming forward and basically having the same story about you and what you've done. Come on, man. That's just bad, bad, bad. But you're found innocent. But at the end of the day, even if he was a fucking Boy Scout, I don't care if he's a Boy Scout, bro. One player doesn't make an entire team. And you came off Baker Mayfield's rookie contract. He's probably getting paid pretty decent for a rookie because he was the first overall pick in the draft and never had no business being picked first overall pick in the draft. That's another reason why Cleveland's perennial dog shit. Front office, terrible business decisions. Reaching for a quarterback that's not really a quarterback that's 6 foot, 180, 190, maybe 205. You know what I mean? That's not really the intangibles you look at when you want to draft a quarterback, especially first overall in the entire draft. You want somebody like, Ben Roethlisberger, who came into your city and bent you over year after year and had more wins in your own stadium than any of your quarterbacks in his entire career until Baker Mayfield came along. And then you threw him out to the trash like a sideshow freak to bring in an even bigger sideshow freak. And you mortgaged your entire franchise for it. You gave up, 3 first-round picks, and now you're stuck on this contract. And it just goes back to the NFL being a business and making good business decisions and getting players on good contracts. You have a horrible contract right now. You have a player that's medically cleared to play, and he's unwilling to play. So he's a diva. He's putting himself above the entire franchise. And this really can only end one way. Either Kevin Stefanski going or Deshaun Watson going. And what's going to happen is Kevin Stefanski's going to get fucking fired because Cleveland is stuck on this $250 million contract. Maybe that'll turn your franchise around because you'll bring in a spread offense, this and that. And we'll see. I mean, you still got the window and you still got a lot of games left to play. And there's still a lot of football left to be played. But the way it's looking right now, it ain't too good for Cleveland. There's a lot of trouble in paradise over there in Cleveland. Old Cleveland. Youngstown. All them beautiful, beautiful towns in Cleveland. Right along the river that used to caught on fire. I know I was going to go there, Cleveland, but I'm sorry. I had to get it in one more time. That's why it gets you guys going when I talk about how your rivers literally used to catch on fire. It hits deep to your soul, especially when it comes from somebody from Pittsburgh. And, our team comes in and whoops you guys year after year, year after year, year after year. And I'm sure some of the Cleveland fans will be like, when was the last time you won a playoff game? We won a playoff game before you. When was the last time you won a Super Bowl? When was the last time you won a fucking division? Huh? 1989 was the last time you won a Super Bowl or a division. When was the last time you won a Super Bowl, Cleveland? Oh, last time you won a championship was called an NFL championship, and there was 10 teams in the league, maybe 15. I think Otto Graham was your quarterback or some shit back then. I believe it was Otto Graham. I don't even know. That won 10 championships for Cleveland. And it's sad, because Cleveland's a football town, just like Pittsburgh. These cities are very similar, two blue-collar cities that are football towns. And they're diehard loyal fans to their football team. I'll give your Cleveland fans credit. I mean, you come with the heat, especially when I was making all those videos on Twitter talking shit on Baker Mayfield. Y'all came with the tweet. It came with the heat. It was constant. My phone would go off nonstop. Bang, bang. You're an inbred Yinzer. You're an inbred Yinzer. Fuck Pittsburgh. People from Pittsburgh have no teeth. It's like borderline racism pretty much for people from Pittsburgh, from people from Cleveland. It's kind of sad, man. But hey, it is what it is, that I can get under your skin that bad that you have to go that low because our football team owns you and you really have no other trash talk to come with other than taking cheap shots and low blows. And I can do cheap shots and low blows, especially on your city all day long, but I'm the type of guy that likes to fight fair. That's just me, though. But it is what it is, Cleveland. It's just funny. It's a laughing stock because the past 4 or 5 years, I've been hearing how y'all are going to win a Super Bowl, how you're going to win a division, how you're all this and how you're all that, and your roster's so stacked, and you haven't been able to do anything with it. So that really is on coaching. I mean, let's be honest. Kevin Stefanski is the ultimate overachiever, and they're going to have to move off Kevin Stefanski. He's probably going to be fired. He might end up getting fired before this season because that's the type of culture that Cleveland is. They're going to have to kowtow to the fans, the media, and your anointed savior, the rapist, Deshaun Watson. So it's going to be fun to see how all this plays out. It's going to be fun to see if Cleveland turns it around. But the way it's looking right now, I don't know what the line is. And if Deshaun Watson doesn't play this game, 49ers got to be favored by at least 7.5, maybe 10. But I'm going to play it safe and say they have it at 7.5. I'll look after this. It doesn't really matter for the video. But you're a big underdog in this game. This 49ers defense is stacked. Their offense is stacked. There's just no way that you're going to win this game. There's no way. No way. Especially if Deshaun Watson doesn't play. No way. You're going to be at 2-3. You still got to play Cincinnati. One more time. You got to play Baltimore one more time. You got to play Pittsburgh one more time. And you got still more tough games to go on the schedule with a quarterback who obviously is unhappy. Why else would he not play when he's medically cleared to play? It's just there's something going on in Cleveland, and Kevin Stefanski is going to be fired. And maybe if you bring in new OC, Deshaun Watson might be able to turn it around, and maybe he'll actually want to go out there and play. Maybe he'll actually decide to play for his $260 million. But for now, he's just not going to practice. He's not going to be a team player. He's going to sit on the sidelines. He's going to collect his bread. And he's going to be like, yeah, boy, yeah, I got my bread, boy, and I can sit on the bench, ride the pine, and collect $250 million. And now I'm going to go get me a rubbing tizug at the little Asian massage parlor. I'm going to take my 260 and give me a little rubbing tizug. Yeah, boy. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. All right, Deshaun. You the man sitting on the sidelines getting them rubbing tizugs, Deshaun, while your team's getting their asses clapped. You're lucky, though. You're lucky. You ain't the one sitting in a federal penitentiary in Texas getting your ass clapped now, ain't it, Deshaun? Deshaun! Come on, my man. Come on, homie. Go out there with your boys and play and win some games. You got to think no matter what kind of offense you got and what kind of OC you got, for that type of money you getting paid, you should be out there doing something. You should be out there winning games against Pittsburgh. You should be out there winning games against the Baltimore Ravens. But instead, you looking like a clown, throwing pick sixes against Pittsburgh and getting two face mask penalties. You're real grabby there, ain't you, Deshaun? 2 in a row. Come on. And I never seen that in my life, especially from a quarterback 2 times in a row. Maybe you get it once from a defensive player that might have been a little bit of dirty, might not have been a little bit of dirty, but those were just 2 blatant, just ignorant, just obnoxious penalties that Deshaun Watson pulled and costed your team, and he costed your team that big division game. And Pittsburgh's sitting at 2-0 in division. And what are you sitting? I think you're sitting at 1-3 right now in the division because I think you beat Cincinnati week 1, or you're sitting at 0-2. You're 1-2. It's either 0-2 or 1-2. I'm not 100 on that. But still, we're 2-0. You got 2 L's. Those are almost like a game and a half division games. There's so much magnitude, especially in the playoff games, in the playoff standings when it comes to the division and the standings. And it's going to be hard to bring in a lot of talent via free agency with Deshaun Watson getting paid $260 million. And you lost 3 first-round draft picks. So where is your talent going to come from to build around Deshaun Watson? And, Nick Chubb got the MCL, which God forbid. I think Nick Chubb is a great player. I think he's a Cleveland Browns player. I think he deserved that contract. I think it's a travesty what they're doing to running backs, only paying them to $10 million a year, $12 million a year, when you got people like this guy, this clown, this jig idiot, this sideshow freak that you gave up for your Baker Mayfield, who brought you your first playoff victory in over 2 decades. And Chubb's out there working his ass off and taking all the punishment and running. And now he's hurt, which is sad because he's a great player and he's a great talent for this NFL. And I like running the ball. I'm from Pittsburgh. I grew up watching Smash Mouth football in Pittsburgh. So I can appreciate Nick Chubb as a player and as a human being, because that man puts in a ton of work and that man's doing all he can do to help his franchise win games. And they have been somewhat competitive. They haven't got to where they wanted to be, but Cleveland actually has been somewhat competitive. And now you're sitting at 2-2, and we'll see how competitive you are against the 49ers. I don't think it's going to be very competitive. And we'll see how you can build this roster with this saddled with this type of salary, this type of diva mentality, and you don't have 3 first-round draft picks to bring in more prime talent out of the draft. Now you're going to be drafting late in every single draft, and to me, this is Deshaun is upset. Deshaun is unhappy with the offensive plays that are being called, and Kevin Stefanski is going to probably end up getting fired. That's my prediction. Kevin Stefanski is going to get fired after this season. So, Cleveland, Cleveland, Cleveland. Guess who's back? Oh, back again. Oh, I don't want to. I might have to start making some videos on Twitter. And I get you all riled up. Won't I, Cleveland?